Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nathan Hutton of Soul Forgotten, and you're watching Nothing But Noise. Folks, thanks for joining me for the second episode of Nothing But Noise, the stories of Soul Forgotten. And this is, of course, a video series where we are talking about the history of this musical project, spanning all the way from 2006 in its first release, right up to present day. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the second EP release that came out in 2011, and that is Tonight We March as Ghosts. It was a short but sweet little collection of songs. From start to finish, its running time was 17 minutes and 28 seconds, 5 tracks in total, and it was recorded in 2 separate areas. The music was written, arranged, and recorded in my home studio that I had set up, but I didn't feel comfortable with how I had it set up for vocals, so I then took the vocal recordings to a budding engineer named Colin Shipway, and his home studio was located also in Orangeville, Ontario. And it was there that we were able to record all the vocals for the songs that ended up on this EP, as well as 3 extra tracks that inevitably got shelved. Now, the 5 tracks that we have for this EP, track 1, Walking the Path to Hell, track 2, Candles, Incense, Magic and Lace, track 3, What She Misses Most. Track 4, Dance of the Wandering Dead. And track 5, the closer, which was called Promises. Again, short and sweet. Thinking to what I had done with Broken Glass and Mended Hearts, vocally and just musically, I was personally challenged to try and create something that was going to be a little more, for the lack of a better term, radio friendly. And that's exactly what I went out to do. There's no screaming on this album. There's no yelling. There's definitely a metal element and a hard rock element to a few of the songs, but it really kind of took the pressure off of pushing my vocals too hard, but at the same time, it really challenged me to step up my vocals in the realm of being able to sing and to hold a melody and to hold a key. And as someone who had spent the better part of his musical career as a loud, yelly, screamy frontman to hardcore and metal acts, spending all my time just singing was actually incredibly scary to me. I was super self-conscious about that, but Colin was really cool about it. He was able to set up the space so that when I came in, it was basically just the two of us in his studio space, and I could just belt out what I needed to belt out. We tried to get everything recorded in no more than 3 takes, and if it took longer than that, we would just kind of shelve it, come back to the next time that I was going to come in, and then retry whatever we had to retry. It was a great experience, and the recording process for the vocals cost no more than 2 cases of beer. Colin was looking to build his portfolio. I was looking for an independent studio where I could get things done fairly affordably. So it was a great trade. I found out like he got his favorite brew, and I got the opportunity to have somebody help me recording and mixing the vocals as well as some of the levels just for overall for the songs. The original release had a very limited physical copy run, and it was very limited because I was the one that was making the physical copies. This is my personal copy of Tonight We March as Ghosts. All the artwork on the outside of the album jacket, as well as the linear notes and all that, that was all done by me. The album artwork that was printed and then put onto the CDs, very DIY. That's always kind of been my way, and it never was really set up in any stores, any record shops, or anything like that. Physical copies were sold by me, so to get your hands on one of these, you had to meet with me, hand me the money, I hand you the goods, bada boom, bada bing, were done. Now, of course, this is an EP that is released on multiple streaming sites now. So you can go to Spotify or Apple Music or Deezer or whatever, and you'll find it. What you will find is the remastered version, which I'm going to get to in a second, because the original session we were able to record and we were able to mix, but Colin didn't feel comfortable to take on the task of mastering, which I fully respect, and especially at the time. And there was a part of me that was just kind of like, well, you know what? Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I don't need to master it. Every single one of these that I sold, people liked the music. The biggest complaint was how quiet it was. For them to listen to it comfortably, they had to crank the volume up exponentially. And that was because in my foolishness of never really taking on mastering itself, it was all mixed, but because it wasn't properly mastered, the levels were incredibly low. And it was ripe for the picking to be remastered, but that wouldn't happen for many, many years later. And I was just kind of like, well, I'm sorry about that. So it was, I sold as many physical copies as I could. The response musically was really awesome. What She Misses Most was the lead single, but Dance of the Wandering Dead also got a really great response online, because before the EP even came out, I wrote that instrumental along with several others in just this week-long creative session, and pulled Dance of the Wandering Dead, really liked it, and I put it online, and the response that I got back was coming from people who were there, either DJs or they were other like electro EDM type musicians, and they really dug it because it was like this dance beat, but then there was a heavy string arrangement and accompaniment, and it sounds weird, but it really worked. It was awesome. It's up there for one of my like favorite kind of instrumentals that I've ever worked on, and yeah, so I was just kind of like, okay, it's going to be on the EP. The response to What She Misses Most was also very good. I wasn't able to get any full form radio play, so everything that was off of this EP was word of mouth, because, you know, trying to get the physical copies out, just trying to spread the word. And it felt good to know that by taking the risk to do something that was vastly different from what I've ever done before, vocally especially, it was reassuring to hear people say that, yeah, like I like the singing, I like your voice on that, I love the melodies. I ended up, this has been a studio project, but I did a couple of live performances performing What She Misses Most, and people seemed to really dig it. So I was really happy that I made the call that was going to be the lead single. Walking the Path to Hell, instrumental, heavily influenced by Nine Inch Nails and the work of Trent Reznor. And that's just because of where I was at the time. But it set the tone for the rest of that EP. It's a little dark, it's a little gloomy, it's a slower pace, but like I said, it sets the tone, and I think it sets the tone beautifully. Candles, Incense, Magic, and Lace, and What She Misses Most, those are two songs that were actually either directly influenced by or dedicated to my wife, Carrie Ann. This was the EP where, with Candles, Incense, Magic, and Lace, that I would go on record and affirm my newfound faith in neo-paganism. I made the personal choice to step back away from Judeo-Christian beliefs, and that was a song that was like basically the announcement, but also a thank you to my wife, who was already pagan and introduced me to this structure of beliefs that I had never really kind of dug into before. And then What She Misses Most was pulled from a conversation that I ended up having with my wife. At the time leading up to writing and recording Tonight We March as Ghosts, I was kind of getting into a bit of a dark place. I was on the precipice of depression, just having a really tough go with work, understanding and managing just life in general. And there was a moment where Carrie Ann sat down with me and she said, "Nathan, I miss the smile in your eyes." Really kind of woke me up to understand that everything that I was feeling internally was now getting to a point where it was becoming physically apparent. I was not in a position where I could put on a happy face and put on a smile and try and fake it till you make it. I was just like, I was confronted with the fact that there was a lot that I had to work on and a lot that I had to kind of figure out. If Carrie-Anne hadn't taken that moment, I'm not sure what would have happened. Promises is a story. It is the story of a father and daughter having a conversation where the father is essentially coming clean with all the BS that he's done throughout his life that has directly affected his relationship with his daughter. It's more or less a song about asking and receiving forgiveness. And then, I mean, the title alone promises it's a matter of, you can't just say you're going to change. You have to follow through and make those changes. It's kind of a slower song, but it's actually one of my favorites. It was a lot of fun to record. It felt really comfortable to get in front of the microphone and to get what I put on paper onto an actual recording. It never really saw the light of day up beyond the EP release. But yeah, if you ever take the time to listen to this EP, I would highly suggest just taking a moment to listen to start to finish and really kind of take in everything from Walking the Path to Hell right down to the final track, which is Promises. The album with everybody that I needed to thank above and beyond Colin for his help with making these recordings happen. A huge amount of thanks and dedication went to my wife, Carrie-Anne, and our two kids, our daughter, Michael Autumn, and our son, Cash Winter Christopher. If you are ever looking for the release itself, the remastered version was uploaded and made available to all streaming sites, so you can find with new album artwork, some beefed up volume to it. Thank you for joining me. Happy listening, and I will see you for the next episode of Nothing But Noise. Many blessings, and blessed be. The music discussed in today's episode of Nothing But Noise can be found on all major digital streaming sites such as Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Deezer, as well as many others. Just search for the artist So Forgotten, and sure enough, you'll find this release among many others. Happy listening.